The mysterious Clatworthy Reservoir lies in scintillating scenery on the edge of Exmoor National Park. Cradled in West Somerset's Brendon Hills, it covers 130 acres of ancient woodland and water. The steeply sloping landscape provides the fuel for the River Tone, which in turn goes into the reservoir to provide the secretive depths of up to 90 feet. The reservoir features secret bays and bank fisher-friendly points throughout the entire lake. All of this provides equal opportunities for you, whether you choose boat or bank. A key feature of Clatworthy, apart from the stunning backdrop, are the fighting qualities of both the brown and rainbow trout. This is down to the sheer quality of the fish farm and the excellence of the stockfish. Something truly to savour. They're awesome. Each year there is a competition where the largest fish receives a £150 tackle voucher, and then there are prizes for the second largest fish. Runner-up prize of 6 day permits. This reservoir enjoys very high rod averages with £20 limits not uncommon, and certainly you can expect some prodigious fishing on any day in almost any conditions. Bank angling is particularly popular and especially productive, with many areas accessible from the fishing lodge side for those prepared to walk, as well as a separate pay kiosk and car park on the opposite bank. Most areas are incredibly accessible. Dave Percy, the ranger, oversees the running of the fish farm as well as looking after the fishing, and is available for sound advice and information throughout the course of a season. The fishing lodge provides a self-service ticket and returns facility together with a place to relax and chat over a cup of tea or coffee before or after a session, and share those fishy tales and the ones that might have been.
Name's Dave Percy, one of 2 rangers here at Clatworthy. We're a 130 acre fishing site. We've got 180 million gallons of water in our reservoir. Our depths vary from 96 feet in the dam area right up to 25 feet in the shallows. It's an average depth out through between 60 and 85 feet. So there's plenty for everyone to go and fish at wherever they want to fish. Fishing here on Clatworthy is traditional fly fishing methods only. Best methods are probably during the summer months of floating lines, HD lines and intermediate lines. A variety of flies, traditional wet patterns obviously during the March time, and getting into the summers you're getting into the dries, the small buzzers, hares, ears, damsels, daddies, cockabondy beetles. Here at Clatworthy is just primarily rainbow and brown trout, which vary from, we stock at £2, which is a kilo, and they can vary up to anything from £7 to £15. The Clatworthy record is £16.10, which hope one day we'll manage to beat that. Just odd doubles that we put in. We don't actually keep any of the big fish anymore on the farm because we have our own fish farm where we rear our own trout for our own reservoir. We used to supply other Wessex reservoirs as well, but now we only just do our own. Average bag weights this year are averaging between 12 and 18 pounds for 5 fish, which is a day ticket. An evening ticket is for 2 fish from on our reservoir. The season tickets are a 4 fish limit, and they can average I think between 10 and 20 pounds as well. The south bank from the lodge down is primarily the favourite area for bank anglers, and into the shallows and in around the bay called Rose End. That's where most of the bank anglers do well. If they go boating, they tend to head up into the dam, which is into the deep water, which has a D-strap line, and obviously in the warmer weather, the fish tend to like the air, so they're in there. And all the little bays and coves, they can get good drifts in, and if there's a good hatch of buzzers or beetles on the water, they tend to have a good surface activity fishing. Early season, you're not really looking at much fly life into March and April, but coming into May, we've had a strong black hawthorn hatch. We've had our first mayflies in the last couple of days. In the next 3 weeks, when the bracken starts to unfurl, we'll get a good hatch of cockabondy beetles, which come onto the water, and the trout absolutely love those. Our duties include looking after general public, because it's a walking site as well, 5 mile perimeter track. Also, our primary is looking after the fishermen, making sure they're all safe, well, and have good days. We do all the maintenance on the reservoir and on our fish farm as well. We do all the hedge cleaning, cutting, grass cutting, trimming, you name it, we manage to do it. We've got 7 boats on Clatworthy. We used to have a few more, but in the last few years they haven't been so popular because the bank's been going so well. But when we do provide the boats, they do provide a good service to go out and then get them all access, you know, when the water's up, to all parts of the reservoir. We've got an Allen wheelie boat, which can be hired to anyone who's disabled, obviously, in wheelchairs or amputees. We charge £10 for the wheelie boat, which is less than what we do, and it's donated to the charity. We've got all facilities here on Clatworthy for that. We've got disabled toilets, coffee machines, everything that the disabled need to get in and be comfortable with, we have here. Our season runs from March to October, which is about a 7-month season. We open at 8 o'clock every morning throughout the season. It's done on a self-service basis. If we're not here, we're here in the mornings. The anglers come into the fishing lodge, they fill out their tickets, put the money in the envelope and post it in a box, and then we'll come along during the day, throughout the day, check the money, check the tickets, checks and etc. is signed, and then we will do bag checks and bank checks to make sure they've all got their tickets and they're in the right order. The returns work in the same similar way. They come back after their day's fishing, they fill out the returns. We've got scales outside the lodge, they weigh in their fish, and then they pop the weights and what they've caught on the returns. We welcome the nil returns as well, because they're more important probably than the fish ones, so we know what's been going in and out of the reservoir. And again, they pop them in a box and we come along and we do a weekly check, and then we work out at the end of the week what they've caught and how many we need to stock back in. During the summer periods we close later. The boats have to come an hour earlier than we actually do close, so we can check everyone's safe, happy, and there's no damage or maintenance we have to do to the boats for the next day going out.
My name's Tom Wallace, and I live in Taunton now, but originally obviously from further afield than that, so to southwest Scotland. And I fish down here on Clatworthy now for getting on, I don't know, 7-8 years. And every time you sort of come here, you're always reminded of very similar thoughts to back home, in that you just take a look about you, and whether you catch a fish or not, the trees, the wildlife, everything about it, whether you catch or not, is absolutely top drawer. And if you do tend to catch a fish, it just puts the icing on the cake, really. And if you look at the fish that you do catch, the average size tends to be very, very, very good, sort of £3 and above normally. And because I'm a regular fisher up here, you're limited to your 4 fish. And typically your 4 fish will always be over £10, normally around 13, 14. And a good week, you'll have fish up to £20 for your 4. And I don't think there's many places in the country that can average that consistently over the course of a season, which this has done ever since I've fished here. And that's why I make it my usual Saturday morning haunt. The tactics vary for anything like just now, where I'm fishing a sunk line. You can get them on the top as well, but typically you're looking at intermediate lines more often than not, just because we're a very upland reservoir here and it takes it a long while to warm up. And there isn't particularly the sort of biogrowth under the surface to sustain as much fly life as you'll get in a lot of the lower lying reservoirs. So it's just on the day, really. But I think, and we're in a fish, I think no matter what you do, it's about enjoying what you fish and catching fish and just enjoying the surroundings, which is basically the main reason I come up here and fish all the time. I don't think you can beat that, really. It's very much like back home, except it's more rainbows down here than browns, but there is a population of browns as well as rainbows. Just the browns seem to be far more difficult to catch. Try and get him in. That's my 4th fish today in about 2 hours. I'm on a cracking day, perfect conditions, lovely day. Smallest of the 4, but still, look at the size of the bag, you can't complain at that. Very, very good size. About finding the fish today, got my first cast and thought this is going to be really easy today. and it took me another hour and a half to get the next 3, but it was about finding them, and once we were on a shore with them, it was reasonably straightforward. 1 on a floating line, 3 on a subsurface line. Very good sport, a very good day. Can't complain at all.
Hi, my name's Don Mansell. I live in Wiveliscombe, which is about 3 miles away from this wonderful reservoir. It certainly is a gem of a reservoir. The scenery is stunning. Plenty of good rainbows come out of here. Tend to fish a lot of the time top of the water. Use a floating line, and I tend to use an indicator. I've been on that this morning for a couple of hours. I've took 1 fish on it and that lot, but the sun's come out and it's quite bright. So I've just decided that I'm going to go and fish a little bit deeper, and I'm just twitching a few little flies on a figure of 8 across the bottom here. One important thing with this reservoir is to keep, and naturally you fan cast the water, which every fly fisherman will tell you, but don't get too hung up in staying in the same place here. If you're not catching, or any knocks as we say, after about half an hour, then it's certainly want to move. You only may have to move 5 metres up the bank, up or down, but it's certainly well worth keep moving. There's also some marvellous arms on this reservoir called Doddridge and Trip, and there are some good walks there to be had, and the scenery's cracking. I've had some cracking days here on heather flies, cockabundus and black peacocks are the flies to use. It certainly has been exceptional. The clarity of the water is crystal clear. I can see the bottom from 10 metres away. It ain't just about the fishing. It's just sometimes just to watch the wildlife as well, and that is also a bonus. It's ready for the net. There we go. And as I said before, earlier on, that one of these reservoirs you want to keep moving, fan the water, keep moving. I've just moved, I've put out my first cast, nice little figure of 8, and I've just hit this marvellous fighting fish. I've been over there for half an hour and haven't had a fish. There we go, lovely. In he comes, and there you go. Another perfect hard fighting Clatworthy trout. So here I've been here for 4 hours, I've had a cracking morning, I've caught my 4 fish. I've lost a few, had some real good fun here at Clatworthy. I'm now going to sit down now and have a cup of coffee for half an hour, watch the wildlife. On the walk back I shall chat to some of the fellow anglers here and exchange stories, see how they're getting on today, give them my tips on how I was catching these, and head on home.
A session at this upland reservoir can be exhilarating, exciting, it can be almost secretive. And that's why anglers come back time and time again to savour not just the fishing, but the absolutely lyric scenery.